Hello guys, my name is Nitesh Kumar and I'm back with another video, and this video is gonna be the introduction of the new kings and kingdoms. This is the part 2 video. If you haven't watched the part 1 video, please watch so you can understand the chapter very in a better way. So yesterday we stopped at the administration in the kingdoms. So now we're going to start with prashastis and land grants. So that in the textbook they've given us processes contain details that may not be literally true, but they tell us how rulers wanted to depict themselves as violent, victorious warriors, for example. So the person who write and about the king is called as scribes. They use palm leaves for writing. We learned in the sixth standard in the NCIT book. So they're telling that processes cannot contain every information are true. For the praises from the kings, they used to write some wrong information about the kings, like he was very nice to the people, like he would get praises from the king, right? That's why the scribes used to write good information about the king. So they've given us to depict themselves as violent, victorious. That means they're giving a good name for the king. Like you saw that we saw some kingdoms associated which they came from Brahmanas to Kshatriya. Like this only, the kings gave them a title. Like yesterday I mean the last part one, I explained you about that. So they've given us victorious warriors, for example. These were composed by learned Brahmanas who occasionally helped in the administration. So they're telling that this like the precious thieves was made by the Brahmanas who occasionally helped in the administration. So in the administration of the kingdoms, the king were there, right? The we saw in here, right? Administration in the kingdoms. So the Brahmanas also were there in that. So which helped the king to make some precious thieves. So it helped the king to give the king a good name. So when we go to the next page, they've given the achievements of Nagabata. This I'm not going to explain because they given like a small box, right? These are the main important things that would come in the exam of social science history. So I make sure all of you read this like a box they've given here. I make sure all of you read this because this will be the important point when it comes to the exam. So they've given that kings often rewarded Brahmanas by grants of land. These were recorded on copper plates which were given to those who received the land. So the kings who have the Brahmanas who made the prashastis and gifted to the king, so the kings got very excited and rewarded Brahmanas by grants of land. Grants of land means giving us like a space of land for free. So in the resources at the land, they can get some gold and iron. They can get anything because the land is from the king has rewarded a land grant for Brahmanas, and they were also recorded in the copper plates. So the scribes this scratched it on the copper plates to record this how kings rewarded Brahmanas. So when we go to the next page, they've given that fig 2, you can see here. This is a set of copper plates recording a grant of land made by a ruler in the 9th century, written partly in Sanskrit and partly in Tamil. The ring holding the plates together is secured with the royal seal to indicate that this is an authentic document. They're telling that the scribes used a set of copper plates recording a grant of land made by the ruler in the 9th century. So that the scribes used to write no that were written in Sanskrit or Tamil to record that the kings rewarded the Brahmanas like this. So when we go to the next page, they have given another box in here. What was given with the land? So someone like this is the like poem someone have wrote in the early period. They've given that this is the part of Tamil section of a land grant given by the Cholas. So given a little bit information, but this is all which comes in the box are really true. So next one, they're telling that unusual for the 12th century was a long Sanskrit poem containing the history of kings who ruled over Kashmir. So they're telling that in the 12th century was a long Sanskrit poem. You can see that the above that they've given like a poem only. So this poem had a long Sanskrit containing the history of kings who ruled over Kashmir. So this poem was about the Kashmir. So they've given that it was composed by an author named Kalhana. So this was composed by an author. Author means who wrote this poem. His name is Kalhana. He used a variety of sources including inscriptions, documents, eyewitness accounts and earlier historians to write this account. So they're telling that author named Kalana used a variety of sources. Sources mean the information collected by the kings and the kingdoms, how they were ruling that place, and how they were managing that place, and how were the people living in there. This all where he used this all information to make the poem. They've given inscriptions, documents, eyewitness accounts. That means a person who have seen that incident, they call them and collect information from them. So Kalhana did that to get the information and write a poem. So they've given that unlike the writers of Prashastis, he was often critical about rulers and their policies. So you saw that some scribes who write this are not very true. They want some gift. That's why they write some wrong about the kings. But this Karhana is not like that. He was often critical about rulers and their policies. That means he write everything true about them. So this is the finishing of Prashastis and land grants. Then we'll start with warfare war for wealth. So what is warfare for wealth? So they fight each other, like the king fight another king for the wealth. So basically I told you that some other kings built temples, means the other king would first acquire the temple because they have some valuable ornaments like gold, silver, diamond, something like that, ruby. There will be some really very precious ornaments. So that's why the opponent team would first capture the temple because it has more precious ornaments. So when they've given that, you may have noticed that each of these ruling dynasties was based in a specific region. At the same time, they tried to control the other areas. So they're telling that some, like one kingdom is they cannot live in one place. If they want to expand their kingdom, they need to acquire another king. So that's why they try to control other areas. For other areas, they need to happen a war between an king and another king. So they got one particularly prized area was the city of Kanauj in the Ganga Valley. So you know that this Kanauj is a precious land that there were three kingdoms who wanted to take this city Kanauj because it has some really valuable resources in its land. The Kanauj was present in the Ganga Valley. For centuries, rulers belonging to the Gurjara Pratihara, Rashtrakuta, Pala dynasties fought the control over Kanauj. So then I told that the three kingdoms, they were Gurjara Pratihara, Rashtrakuta and Pala. These are the main points you need to remember, that are Gurjara Pratihara, Rashtrakuta and Pala dynasties who fought over the control of Kanauj. I told you that Kanauj has some really very expensive valuable resources in its land. That's why these three dynasties wanted to control that place. So they've given that because there were three parties. That means three parties means the three dynasties fought for one city. In this long drawn conflict, historians often described it as the tripartite struggle. So the historians say that these three kingdoms struggled to get that very expensive and reasonable resources. They're described as tripartite struggle. So they've given us, as we will see, rulers also try to demonstrate their power and resources by building large temple. So they've given that the rulers what they did is to demonstrate, to show their power to some people and give some belief to the people. The king constructed some big temples to store the resources. As I said that the king first acquired the temple of an opponent team, that's why they have an large of expensive valuables. So when we see that, the next one is So when they attacked one another's kingdoms, they often choose to target temples. As I said, that the opponent team would just first target the temples, which were sometimes extremely rich. As I said, they have very expensive, valuable ornaments. You will read more about this in chapter. So they are telling that this about this all you will read in the chapter 5. So one of the best known of such rulers is Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni, Afghanistan. So they're telling that this man, this ruler, Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni, Afghanistan, acquired every temples of India and other countries. He acquired every temples to steal the valuable ornaments. They're telling that he ruled from 1997 to 1030 and extended control over parts of Central Asia, Iran, and northwestern part of the subcontinent. So he's telling that this Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni from Afghanistan ruled from 1997 to 2030. He, he extended the control over the parts of the Central Asia. Central Asia means it comes like now we see that we have Russia, India, Iran, and Uzbekistan, Pakistan. So and like Bangladesh, Nepal, like it comes in the central of the Asia. He acquired some lands over there, and the Iran. You know the Iran is rich for its valuable ornaments. So he acquired Iran also, and the northwestern part of the subcontinent. So it's India. Subcontinent means India, right? The northern of the subcontinents means the north part of the India. So they're telling that he raided the subcontinent almost every year. So in every year, this ruler acquired one kingdom, like he's defeating one kingdom and acquiring the valuable ornaments from it. And his targets were wealthy temples, including that of Somnath, Gujarat. So they're telling that this he raided very his target was to raid wealthy temples. To why he raided wealthy temples, you all know that there are some valuable ornaments which I told before. That's why this Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni raided it. And much more of wealth Mahmud carried away was used to create a splendid capital city as Ghazni. So what he did that he carried all the valuable ornaments from the temples he acquired and built a capital city at Ghazni. So it was, you can see that the ornaments which was capitalized with this ruler was very rich at that time, because the ornaments was very cheap that time, like that if we capture something like diamonds or silver, in that time the copper was really given rich and the iron was more better than gold. So in that period, so they're telling that Sultan Mahmud was also interested in finding out more about the people he conquered. So Sultan Mahmud, he was interested in finding out more that people he conquered. He wanted to know the information more about the people and entrusted a scholar named Al-Biruni to write an account of the subcontinent. So he called an scholar named Al-Biruni to write an account of his subcontinent. So he called an scholar to write about is how he conquered the temples, the wealthy temples, and how he built the city. All was written by this Al-Biruni. This Arabic work, also known as Kitab ul Hind, remains an important source for the historians. So this Arabic word, this Sultan Mahmud recorded this the fully true information written by Al Biruni. This was really valuable in the period of now. So he consulted Sanskrit scholars to prepare this account. He even consulted Sanskrit scholars to prepare this account. So the next one is the other kings who engaged in the warfare included the Chahamanas, later known as Chauhans, who ruled over the region around Delhi and Ajmer. So they're telling that another king who engaged in the warfare are Chahamanas, and they gave another title. As you tell that they can give another title, they gave themselves as title as Chauhans, who ruled over the region around Delhi and Ajmer. So we can see, I'll show you the map, just 1 minute. Wait, yeah, I'll zoom it. You can see that this is Chahamanas Empire. You can see that the Chahamanas, you can see it properly. And Ajmer, you can see between, I think it's not visible in this map. So you can see it in your textbook, I think, because it's not visible much. So after that, they've given that Ajmer. So they built an empire between Delhi and Ajmer. They attempted to expand their control to the west and the east. So what this Chahamanas did, that they wanted to extend more around it. So they used the east part of the India and the west part of India to extend. So after that, they've given as where they were uh, opposed by the Chalukyas of Gujarat and the Gandavalas of western Uttar Pradesh. So they were telling that this Chalukyas of Gujarat and the Gandavalas of western Uttar Pradesh were the opponents of Chauhans. So these two were the opponents of Chauhans. The best known Chahamana ruler was Prithvi Raja III. He ruled from 1168 to 1192. So this is the best known Chahamana ruler, was really very powerful. His name was Prithvi Raja III, who ruled from 1168 to 1192. He defeated an Afghan ruler named Sultan Muhammad Gore in under 1191. So they're telling that this Prithvi Raja III and defeated an Afghan ruler named Sultan Muhammad Gori in 191. But this Prithvi Raja III again he lost to him in the very next year in 1192. So next we'll go. So they're given a closer look, the Cholas. So all of you know that this name has been often heard for you, like the Cholas. The Cholas, you know that it's present in the southern part of the India. So the main temples you need to look up at it is the Tanjavur. So when you are gonna see that they've given here from Urayur to Tanjavur. How did the Cholas rise to power? A minor chiefly family known as the